Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for tuning in once again. This is Begin to Talk Radio. I am your host, Elisha Durrett Johnson. Begin to Talk Radio is brought to you by Begin to Talk LLC and Power 106.3. All right, we're going to go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsors. We have one for Dope Designs by Nanny. Dope Designs by Nanny can be found at Dope Designs by Nanny on Facebook, IG, and Twitter. You can also go online on web at dopedesignsbynanny.com. Okay. We're also brought to you by Blood Moon Jewelry. They're here for your herbal and energetic needs and your healing tools. Blood Moon Jewelry also does tarot readings, and they also, the expert, she's also like a tea ologist. And she also sells teas as well. So she does holistic healing, and that's for Blood Moon Jewelry. We're also brought to you by Diamond Elite Design Customs. You can find them on Facebook at Diamond Elite Design Customs. And finally, last but not least, today we are also brought to you by Begin to Talk LLC. Begin to Talk LLC is here for all your mental health counseling and your personal life coaching and business consulting needs. We can be found on Facebook. We can be found on Twitter and IG, all at Begin to Talk. So on Facebook, it would be Begin to Talk LLC. I am sharing this for all of our Facebook Live right now. That's what gave me pause for just a second. There we go. There we go. Okay, so today's topic, we're going to just get right into it. Today, we are going to talk about something that I study a lot of, and I actually go to school partly for now and have a degree in. So if you all who all weren't able to tune in last time, Begin to Talk LLC was founded by my late husband, Juwan Johnson, for me, and it was shortly after we had graduated, and we graduated with I graduated my master's in counseling and personnel studies with a concentration in clinical mental health. So I am a mental health counselor. So we are here for those needs. All right. So today's topic, we're going to get right into it. We're talking about racialized trauma and PTSD. I know for the month of November, we stated that we were going to talk about trauma. And trauma can manifest itself in so many different ways. Last week, we talked about trauma and grief and the anniversary effect of that, right? This week, however, we are focusing on trauma as it relates to racialized trauma and PTSD. And we are also focusing on PTSD as well. And we have a special guest that will be with us midstream. And she will be promoting her new app as well. All right. So let's get right into it. So racialized trauma and PTSD. All right. So racialized trauma, what is that, right? What is this thing called racialized trauma? And I really like to talk talk not known only from experience, but I like to pull from psychological resources. And it just so happened this particular author, Monica T. Williams, also worked with her in the past, and have done an internship at her counseling center as well. She has vast knowledge with not just within psychological disorders, but also when we're talking about the links between racism and PTSD. And she really makes it plain, right? Not a lot of folks understand that racialized trauma and PTSD go hand in hand, right? We look at racism and what that is as a separate construct. You know, it's a social construct made up, right? But it really impacts our lives, and it's not, although it's a made up thing, it is a very real, it has very real consequences and repercussions for us as well. So, when we are talking about racialized PTSD, right? So the main answer is, can racism even cause PTSD? And the answer here is yes. Yes. The changes, there are new changes within the DSM that kind of open the door for a better understanding of racialized trauma and PTSD, and how we can have better focus and attention to that, right? So several people, really come up to me and ask why are you having like a focus only on African Americans? And no, racialized trauma is not only focused on African Americans. All ethnicities can experience racialized trauma, right? So let's think about this thing. We can have any immigrant, if you really think about it, have it be Muslim, have it be Jewish, have it be whomever, you can insert, and based off of the stress from society, right? Based off of all of the stigmas that society pretty much portrays, and that's portrayed and perpetuated in the media and whatnot, all of those different things, when you think about that, it really kind of gives pause, right? So when folks really say, hey, are you just focusing on African Americans? No, I'm not just focusing on Black folks. I'm focused on all folks as far as ethnicities with this particular subject. However, because I am an African American, given my experiences as well, I really am going to, although this discussion can filter down to everyone, I'm going to take it in the lens of the Black American, okay? So racialized experiences can range from ambiguous microaggressions to blatant hate crimes, right? And physical assault. Dr. Williams says that racial microaggressions are subtle yet pervasive acts of racism, right? So racial microaggressions are those subtle acts of racism. Mainly, okay, so I'll give you a couple of examples. One of them could be a racial insult, or it would be something like, "You're so articulate." Something that would be meant as a, compliment of some folks could really be taken aback and be taken as a racialized slur to that person, especially for Black folks who have been deemed not articulate or uneducated or lazy or incompetent. The only thing that we can also always say is, "You're so articulate." Another one is the touching of the hair, right? A lot of times folks want to come up and, pet hairs as if you're on display or whatnot, and it kind of just takes the humanistic quality away from someone when you do that, right? So it's like, how is it that how can we get away from that? And there is a way. However, it does have, a lot of impacts psychologically to the person as well. Dr. Williams also talks really in depth about the chronic fear of these experiences and how they can lead to a constant vigilance or paranoia, right? As if someone is, trying or out to get you, that type of thing, and which over time can result in traumatization or contribute to PTSD when a more stressful event can occur. So, although let's just go back to this thing. Racialized PTSD really comes from chronic experiences of racism, right? So if you have chronic experiences of racism, and they can result over time in more stressful events can occur, but they can manifest in paranoia, right? Or over vigilant about certain things because of the pervasiveness of the racialized experiences. So another thing that happens here, and I actually found interesting enough to talk about here, is in fact one study of the females found, as far as veterans, found that African Americans scored higher, right, on measures of ideas and paranoia, which also author and attribute to adaptive responses of racism. So basically here she is saying that even when it is measured, so it is not something, a made up construct in your mind, these folks were actually measured, and as a result, black folks scored higher on these types of studies than other ethnicities across the board. So if that's the case, I think that's really another reason why we hearken and we really talk on the black community when it comes to racialized PTSD, because of the pervasiveness and the effect. Not saying that it does not give an effect to any other ethnicity. However, for this particular portion of it, it is fact that black people do experience racialized trauma at a higher rate. So, there are research that links racism to a host of other types of problems, not just psychological distress. We also have physical problems. We also have anxiety, depression, binge drinking, and even disorder eating, right? So strong positive African American identity and potential protective factors against symptoms of anxiety and depression are adequate when we're talking about combating this thing. So basically, a strong black identity or a strong ethnic identity can combat some of the racialized stress and psychological distress and the physical problems that can manifest as a result of racialized PTSD. So it really can impact African Americans and other ethnicities across the board, right? So we talk about this thing as race-based trauma or race-based stress, right? And all of the effects that that has. Dr. Williams also talks briefly about how she can even wonder in amazement how folks can even stay resilient in the face of ongoing discrimination, right? So it's particularly within the black community. Positive coping with racism may involve faith, forgiveness, humor, and optimism, right? So some of these cultural values of just having faith, forgiveness, humor, and optimism can help folks cope with the ongoing pervasiveness of race-based stress and racial trauma. So cultural values, I really want to just stop there, because a lot of times with racialized PTSD and racialized trauma, folks don't necessarily get it, right? And I remember previously speaking very briefly on how chronic stress can literally have physiological symptoms that happen because of it, right? So anytime someone is under chronic stress or chronic race-based or any race-based PTSD or PTSD for that matter, when someone is under that chronic pervasiveness of those symptoms, it can lead to physiological effects, right? So a lot of times from the main thing that we think of is panic and anxiety when we think of racialized PTSD or just PTSD in general. But it also can harden your arteries as well. There is a natural hormone that our body elicits. It's called cortisol. And cortisol in itself hardens the arteries, right? It can cause strokes. It can cause heart disease. It can cause folks to keep folks from losing weight. It can cause all types of things. And what happens is it's a natural hormone that's released in your body when you have this fight or flight type of syndrome, right? So when you have a fight or flight type of syndrome and this is natural hormones released in your body, that's fine. But anything in pervasiveness, anything chronic, anything that happens all the time, too much, is bad for you. I have water here, but let me drink 5 gallons tonight and I might be in the hospital or just using the bathroom a lot. Like I said, anything in chronic, anything in excess, right? So with this particular cortisol, it really hardens the arteries, and it can cause folks to have physiological symptoms and blame it on other things like weight gain, stress, not stress, because that's part of it, but it can call weight gain, overeating, those types of things. But you can have the healthiest person, and I really give this example to a lot of folks. You can literally be the healthiest person in the world and have chronic stress and still be the unhealthiest on the inside. So, given all of that, there is help, there is hope. There is hope behind that. Really focusing on your values and, what is it? What is that thing called stress? What is it? How do I even know to even seek help, right? And so one of the things that I know, if folks come to me and like, okay, well, I could just have this stressful situation going on and that's it. Okay, I don't really need therapy for that. Okay, that is true. Anxiety is regular, and there is healthy anxiety that, allows you to prepare for certain things, like a test. You hadn't have anxiety over a test, you can turn around and prepare for that test. It'll make you study just a little more, right? You might have even more anxiety if you don't study for the test and you're unprepared for it. And that's an unhealthy anxiety, right? So when you're able and when you're not able to manage the stress, when you're not able to manage the panic, when you recognize that the stress is becoming literally debilitating, which means debilitating is when it is impeding your everyday functioning. So whenever you have a chronic stress or anxiety that impedes your everyday functioning to the point to where you will have to go back and make sure that X, Y, and Z is checked. You'll have to go, you can't finish your day because you're under so much stress, right? When the stress is so much where you feel bad internally, then you should seek help, right? You should seek help. You should seek psychologists, mental health counselors like myself, licensed clinical social workers. Those types of folks can help you all manage with this thing, called life. So the one thing about racialized trauma and PTSD, when we really think about this, and it kind of segues into my next portion, and to my guest speaker that I have on today as well. But when you really think about racial trauma, a lot of times when folks attempt to, I don't know, seek help or try to alleviate those types of issues, then and they don't necessarily have and this is, let me just pause real quick, because I'm about to talk about cultural competency for just 1 second. Because cultural competency is very important in order to have adequate care with your therapist, right? The therapist does not have to be black in order to help you. However, they do have to be culturally competent, aware, and engaging in order to understand your experience and where you're coming from, right? So, culturally competent and engaging. When you are trying to find a therapist that's culturally competent and engaging, sometimes folks can be deterred from that process if you have someone that just doesn't get it. I have been in a therapy session myself as a counselor. I have sought therapy, and I have been in situations where the counselor just didn't get it. They didn't understand, or I had to explain way too much, right, of my cultural background to understand. So, like I said, being culturally competent and aware doesn't mean you have to be an expert about someone's culture. However, you do have to be competent enough in order to help that person and meet them where they are, not necessarily where you want them to be by your skewed, biased opinion or vision or ideology that you may have. So that's my little spiel on cultural competency. However, that really segues into the next portion of our show, because we have a special guest that is really amazing. When I have researched her, because I make sure that I research any and everyone that I bring to this platform before I bring them to you, right? And with that, I was really amazed on her background. This lady, her name is Tamina Ward, right? Tamina has really kind of surprised me, and I have really been impressed with her. A little bit about her. I really think that I'm going to let her introduce part of herself, but she's a 15-year military career counselor that has coached individuals with PTSD. She also has friends with PTSD, and she understands and realizes that there are so many people that are ashamed to get any kind of help. She understands that there's a need for not finding not only good therapists to help with trauma, but one that kind of looks like you, and one that does not have to be explained by other cultural traumas. So that's kind of like what I was just talking about before, finding someone who kind of gets it and understands it, and you don't have to explain your cultural experiences or need for them to validate them, right? So she said she saw the need to help reduce the stigma in the Black community, and she developed an app because of it. So one of the main reasons she said that she developed the app one of the reasons why she even developed the app, and she should be calling in just a moment. But one of the reasons why she developed this app was because she really um, understood and wanted to provide a platform for togetherness, right? And really within the black community could come together and speak on mental health topics within the app. The app really allows for more rapport building, as we know, and really research even has shown that rapport building is the number one thing, the number one item, the number one ticket to building a long-lasting and meaningful relationship between professionals and the clients as well. So she also talked about different things as far as helping and really understanding that the biggest differentiating strategy that the app provides, opposite a basic directory, it also includes videos from the therapist explaining that their what, their why, their story, and whatnot. So let's see. Tamina, are you able to join us?
I am here. Hello.
You are here. Let's see.
Thank you so much.
Okay. I'm just making sure that our sound was correct and we could hear you online. We hear you. How are you doing, Miss Ward?
I am doing well.
Doing pretty good. I'm really excited to kind of debut your app or give your app some more buzz on our show. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to really tell the viewers, number one, just a little bit more about you, a little bit more about your background, what your inspiration for this app was, because that was just awesome. And when I was looking it up, just how do you do it? How do you, why, the what, the why, the everything else? How is it shared? How can we find it? How much is it? Those types of things, because I think a lot of folks can utilize this tool.
Absolutely. Thank you so much once again for having me on. I really appreciate it. We know that mental health care and topics in the Black community is so easy to talk, begin to talk, we definitely need to do that.
Yes.
So my main reason for creating the app, for mine was it was seeing some of the effects of some of my military clients.
Mm.
PTSD, with triggers, with not being able to be around big crowds. So that was number one. And number two also had to do with my family. I have family members with anxiety, family members with depression, and not one of my family members has ever seen a professional therapist.
Mm.
So I wanted to do something about it. I wanted to make it more of a norm in the Black community. So that was mainly my reason behind creating the app.
Mm. So normalizing everything within the Black community.
Absolutely. Normalizing and stigmatizing it's okay to seek therapy for help.
Yes.
We all have stressors, we all have trials, we all have tribulations, and through the app, we can all come together. We can talk about our depression, we can talk about our trauma, but it's good to have a place for togetherness to know that I'm not alone in my struggle. And that's one thing that I really wanted to do as far as creating a platform of togetherness for the Black community.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
And you are exactly right. So the directory for the therapist is interactive. So you get a chance to actually hear what therapists do, the services that they provide, and also their why. Not only do you understand what they're doing, but you're understanding why they do it, why they want to help you, why they want to take care of you, and it really helps to build that relationship so you feel comfortable making appointments and using their services because you all need them.
Yes, and I really believe that. I believe that we all need the services. I just believe that, and it's funny that we share that same experience because not one of my family members, they may call me. They may take it to the God to God and right, but then pick it right back up. They say we're gonna take it to the altar, right? But then they pick it right back up and walk right back out the door, right? And carry all that anxiety, and all those triggers and everything else that comes with it with them. So knowing that you need an active support system rallied around you, active professional support system rallied around you in order to get over this thing called life. So yes.
Absolutely. And there's lots of t-shirts that are floating around. Either Jesus on the main line, therapist on speed dial. It's okay to have Jesus and a therapist.
It sure is.
I really love that, advocating for both. Because we know, us in the Black community, we love, our spirituality, and that is beautiful. But we also need help from a professional when we're talking about mental health. So there's nothing wrong with having both to help get your life right and continue on the path of success in life.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes, you do not have to compromise your cultural views, your religious views, or anything about your ideology in order to seek professional help. I always say that folks go to the doctor for everything, but their mind. And this thing called life is 80% mental and 20% physical. And we hear that saying over and over, 80% mental, 20% physical, but we only focus on the 20%. We only focus on the physical. And so when, someone breaks their arm, they're running to that orthopedic surgeon, right? But when someone passes away, or if someone is having prolonged psychological effects from not just PTSD, but also racialized PTSD, a lot of times they feel ashamed, or like, I should have this thing together. Do you come across that a lot?
Absolutely. And not only, I think women are a little easier to, understand and accept that we need someone to speak with, but some of our men really have difficulty with not being all together because of what society tells them that, masculinity should be. They should be strong. They should have everything together. They should be the head of the household. So there's even more pressure and stress put on the men when it comes to certain things with mental health and it being okay to speak with someone about some of your issues.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think men feel like men by nature are fixers. And understanding everything that's come about. I understand that I have had a multitude of different types of clients, right? And I know you have a different experience in your background, as well, as far as having an untrusting population and dealing with that. But yeah, I've had a multitude of different clients, different states. I've had clients in online therapy, doing online therapy. I've had clients in Canada. I've had clients in Florida. I've had different clients and different types of folks, right? And in all of that, I think I've had one Black client. That's it. And Black folks just do not go to the doctor. We do not seek therapy. And I believe that there's a stigma for all mental health, but then there's a targeted stigma, right? There's a targeted stigma with mental health in the Black community, right? We should have it all together. We should have, like I said, go to God in prayer only. And use kind of God as an avoidance technique of your actual problems that are happening or have occurred. And I think there's a lot of cultural stigmas as well there that kind of intermingle and marry to make this huge stigma against mental health. But that's what this is all about. That's what Begin to Talk is about, to destigmatize mental health, to normalize conversations. It's just a conversation. It's just a conversation.
And I wholeheartedly agree. And that's another reason why I wanted to create the app,
Mhm.
is, I really don't want, and I have some difficulty with having to sit down and explain my cultural background.
Mhm.
By me sitting down with a therapist of color that understands that I grew up in a single parent home.
Mhm.
I have that that term of, growing up without a father in my life. So different things that happen
Mhm.
culturally, it's just easier to connect and build that relationship
Mhm.
with a therapist of color.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. So in the app, there are different mental health topics on the dashboard. So we're talking about depression. If you have depression, you can go in there and upload a topic under that.
Mhm.
And we can talk about, our depression. We talk about anxiety. There's a tab for motivation. One
Mhm.
of our therapists, he's so awesome. His name is Damon Abington.
Mhm.
Every time I turn around, he is uploading something that's making me have a good day. So, anytime you're looking for something to motivate you, you can, jump in on that chat
Yes.
and have a discussion.
Yes.
So they can change if needed.
Uh-huh.
I also have a collab tab that's on the app on the dashboard, and what that is, that's for if you do some type of mental health spoken word poetry, or if you have a mental health video or
Uh-huh.
something to tie into mental health, and motivate the people that are using the app, that's what that spot is for. And right now we're featuring Miss April Mason,
Okay.
who she is fighting breast cancer,
Mm.
and we know how much some of these diseases have an impact on our bodies and our mental health.
Mhm.
So she sang a little excerpt of a song and just wanted to remind us to keep going. Whatever we're going through, it's okay. Let's just keep going and keep fighting.
Oh, I love
So
that motivation.
that's where that spot absolutely.
Mhm.
This is, as the Black community, we love on each other, and that is what this is for. We
Right.
need to continue to love on each other, continue to help each other, because we can all use a little healing, and we can all come together with that movement.
Yes. Yes. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. It's just music to my ears, just because this is my life work, right? And my life's work is to destigmatize mental health, and make it just a normal conversation. Like I said, it's just meant to be a conversation. This app is phenomenal, and I researched it. I sent in. Can you kind of take us through how to even get the app? Can you kind of take us through that whole process? Because it's different. It's not just on the app store right now, right? I think we lost Tamina. She'll be calling right back in. Give me just 1 second. But until she call, we're waiting on her to call right back in. I think we just lost her on the phone. There we go, Tamina. Got you back?
I apologize.
No problem, no problem. I was just wondering where you went to, because we really want to go ahead and get to the part where we want to figure out how to get this awesome app.
Yes. So the app is not in the app store.
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to deal with pop-ups. I hate pop-ups.
Right.
Nothing with worrying about paying for anything. The app is strictly shareable.
Yes.
So you can go to my Instagram page at black_therapy_love, and you can see the link. It's in the bio. You can download from there. You copy and paste that link, and you choose a little button to save it on your phone, and immediately it's on your phone. So you don't have to worry about going and downloading. It's taking a while.
Yeah.
It's easy access, uploaded to your phone.
Yes. And I have done that myself. I went ahead and tested it. I said that anything that I bring to my Begin to Talk listeners and viewers, I make sure that I test myself, right? Including therapy. That's why we can talk about it. So yes, I went there. It was very easy for me. I just clicked the link. I went to black_therapy_love. And it came straight up for me on Facebook and Instagram. So it was very accessible. You would just click the link. It takes you directly to a website in which you put your email in, right? And then it sends you like an automatic PIN code, and you're there, and then you can just download it right from there, right? So for providers that are listening out there, how much does the app cost?
So for providers to advertise their business, I'm running a special. It just depends on how long they sign up for. And we can go a little bit further into detail. They can start off with $19.99 a month.
Okay.
A free promotional period.
Okay.
And then it's a little bit more after that.
Okay.
Depends on which plan that they sign up for.
Okay. So for $20 a month, we can just advertise our services across the nation to folks, and for folks to gain more culturally competent and aware therapists. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
So there's an introductory price, and I'm running specials. And then yes, they just reach out to me and let me know, and we can talk a little bit further.
Right, and that's for our providers. I want to make sure that this app is free to the public, correct?
Yes, it is free for the users. Please download it, jump on it, reach out to the therapists that are in the directory, ask them questions. You know, that's the good thing about this app, is that you can build that relationship, and then you can make the appointment.
Yes.
So you can get to know them. You can see what they upload.
Yes.
And there is that rapport building portion that you really don't get on the other websites.
Right, so you're able to really check them out. You know,
Yeah.
I have different platforms that I'm currently on, right, as therapists, and I'm not going to advertise everyone, but I'm on different platforms that folks can find me on as a therapist, but none of them are interactive, right?
Yeah.
It just basically, I'm able to just put my spiel in, if I accept insurance or not, you know, those minutia type of details that we do need that are important, but nothing about me, nothing about my background, my experiences, the types of clients that I've had before, you know, what you know, those types of things, the types of things that I can bring to the table. My personality, does that match?
Yeah.
Right? A lot of times we don't. Go ahead. No, I was
I was
just.
just going to say that right there makes that emotional connection.
Yes. A lot of times we don't even date because we don't want to turn around and even have to turn around and talk to someone, right? And build. So why would, you know, it all makes sense, right? Building rapport and rapport building is, like I stated before, one of the number one is the number one item on the list when we're with research on how to build a positive and long-lasting relationship, and it's all about rapport building, right? Alrighty. I just didn't know if there was anything else that you wanted to share with us as far as the app is concerned, or is there anything else that we missed, something you want to cover back? So I know you accidentally dropped off and came back on, so anything?
Well, I just want to, encourage the users to download it. It's free.
Yes.
Pose some questions. Jump in the chat room. It is really just an opportunity for us to help the community move forward.
Yeah.
We are all, someone reached out to me earlier looking for some help, and that's a beautiful thing. We just know that seeking therapy is a sign of strength. It is never a sign of weakness.
Yes.
So through the app, you can talk. We can talk. We can begin to talk. I love this talk. I love the name of it.
Yes.
We can begin to talk. We're already talking, but we can continue to talk through the app and allow it to become more of a norm speaking about mental health. Because it's okay to not be okay at times. And you don't have to be so far to the left. A lot of people think that I only need therapy when I'm, addicted, or when I'm, severely depressed or something like that. No, absolutely not. There are so many beautiful Black therapists, life coaches, and beautiful Black counselors that are out there to help the Black community and move forward in life.
Yeah, I actually provide as a service in my own business preventative mental health care. No one ever focuses on preventative mental health care, right? If we look at it as a reactive thing, this is something has happened to me, and now I must need some type of assistance, which is great, to have.
Yeah.
But what if we went to a mental health counselor, a therapist, a psychologist as a checkup? Just like we went to the doctor and got a complete overall, right? A complete physical. We got our labs drawn, we got everything else, right? And that's that 20%. What if we just checked up on the 80? What if we just checked up every now and then on that 80%, right? And it's very powerful to do so. So I'm so excited for this app. I'm so excited to have you on the show today. Can you tell the folks where you are? Because they know I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. Where are you?
I am actually in San Diego, California.
San Diego.
Yes, it is beautiful weather out this way.
Mm-hmm. Very cold out this way.
Connecting. Please reach out to me. Hit me up on Instagram. Any questions? Anything you'd like to see on the app? This is the app for the community. It's one for us.
Yes. So tell the folks one more time how they can find you.
So I have Instagram. My tag is black_therapy_love. I'm also on Facebook under the same name, black_therapy_love. You can also Google. The website is a little flipped backwards. The website is black-love-therapy.com.
Okay.
And those are the main platforms. You'll be able to find me.
Okay. All right. And like I said, you guys can go straight on Facebook, straight on Instagram, black_therapy_love. It is right there for the taking. I really, really encourage you all to go onto that app. You can find some awesome therapists around the country, and more therapists are also joining the platform as well. So I just really, I believe that this app can really help folks, in this day and age, in our technology, in our era of the smartphone, those types of things, that we can really connect with everyone in a positive way. We can begin to talk. Yes.
Absolutely. And thank you for what you do and for your platform.
Oh, thank you.
Shows like this, they change lives. They do every single day. So it's so important, it's so needed, and we're very gracious. I'm very grateful to be a part of it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to even our relationship in the future. This won't be the last time that I speak to you. I'm more than confident in saying that one.
Absolutely. We're family now.
We're family now, right? All right, Miss Tamina. I thank you so much for joining today, and thank you for beginning to talk with us. Thank you for sharing your awesome app, black_therapy_love, folks. Get that app. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you. Stay blessed.
You too. All right, folks. That was Miss Tamina Ward. black_therapy_love. That app. You all need to get that app. And I believe that if we can share that information with folks, if we can share and get more folks to join that, this could be a game changer for just mental health and destigmatizing it, and just one more facet, one more tool that we have in our toolbox to do so. So good job. Thank you so much, Miss Tamina. All right, so today, for folks that are, I see a couple of folks joining in now. I see a couple of folks kind of tuning in on our Facebook Live and whatnot. I've been watching that as well. Thank you so much for tuning in on our Facebook Live. Thanks so much for tuning in online at kyheartmedia.com. Thank you so much for tuning in on iHeartRadio and Spotify at kyheartmedia. Also, I just want to make sure that we shout out our sponsors one more time. We do have Dope Designs by Nanny. Dope Designs by Nanny She does a lot of our professional printing for Begin to Talk LLC and is a great partner. You all should find her at Facebook, IG, and Twitter at Dope Designs by Nanny. Also on web, dopedesignsbynanny.com. This show is also brought to you by Blood Moon Jewelry for herbal and energetic healing tools. I'm going to say that 5 times, folks, and get it right. I swear I will. BloodMoonJewelry.com. You can also find her on IG at Blood Moon Jewelry. The third sponsor, and I didn't say this earlier, but she also made this particular sweatshirt as well, as Diamond Elite Design Customs. You can find them at Facebook at Diamond Elite Design Customs. Also, and last but not least, this show is brought to you by Begin to Talk LLC. We are here, begintotalk.com. You can find us on begintotalk.com. You can find us on Facebook, Begin to Talk LLC. You can find us on Twitter and IG at Begin to Talk. We are here for your mental health counseling, personal life coaching, and business consulting needs. You all need to get a chair and a couch. Everybody needs one. It's okay. Let's begin to talk. I thank everyone for joining today. I really thank everyone for, because this particular topic is a little tough for some folks to swallow and ingest, right? PTSD is real. It can come from different avenues, different scenarios. PTSD can come from almost anything, right? From witnessing a traumatic event to being a part of a traumatic event, all of those types of things is real and a very needed conversation in our community. So I really appreciate you all for joining today and beginning to talk. I am going to sign out as your host, Elisha Durrett Johnson. Thank you, and tune in for next week as we continue our topic in trauma, but kind of switch it around a little bit and make it a little more, I don't want to say politically correct, because this is just not the platform for that. However, we'll continue our discussion on trauma. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Have a good day. Bye. Let's begin to talk.